Hello, everybody. In this episode in our series with Dr. Nasser Abdel Wahab, we will go more deeper in the project of Dr. Nasser, um, which tackles the formalization of fiqh and usul. And now we have the results of the previous episode. We will discuss it. Welcome, sir, and go ahead.
Welcome again, Ahmed. So let me quickly go through the results from first part. And if you remember, we said that we will be in the first part digging into epistemology, modern epistemology, so that we get some facts and conclusions, which we will be using into to view our Islamic sciences and the epistemological view of Islam. So I'll go very quickly through the what we saw in the first part. We said that there was a atheistic revolution, which was positivist, and it was a scientific attempt, but it was a positivistic attempt, which failed in the West. And this marked all their ideas about religion. There were also a lot of universal generalizations in almost all branches of science, and also almost all of them failed. We spoke about universal machines, for example, in mathematics and computer science. We spoke about the universal theories of physics. We spoke about universal church theory of Durkheim and all these people. They all failed, and we spoke also a little about the incapability principles. Actually, we spoke a lot about incapability principles because whenever they try something and they work towards achieving a very universal goal, and then they fail, they will use the incapability principle to change their own ideas about the subject matter. And this has been systemized. It's not just one time, but it is a systematic approach. We saw also that randomness as ontology also failed. Yeah? Randomness as ontology also failed. They had sometimes in the mid 19th century until the mid 20th century, the aim to provide evidence that everything is random and so on. But we saw that randomness today is considered to be only a property of the formal system. So it's not reflecting any truth outside. And it's also undecidable. Yeah. Then we spoke about what a scientific model of a phenomenon P is actually. Yeah. And here I give you a link, and I hope that you put it for our viewers. Very interesting recent link where someone in a paper takes 3 or 4 major scientific theories. One of them is string theory even, and shows that it is actually pseudoscientific, not scientific.
It's not an evidence-based theory. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, any scientific model for a phenomenon P will have these 3 properties as per, not only per Karl Popper, but many others. First of all, it is empirically testable, and it needs to have some falsification procedure. Then it is second, supported by evidence. Either this scientific evidence is empirical knowledge or empirical belief. And the existence of necessary conditions leads to this belief. For example, if you remember my example of Colombo, yeah, Colombo sees a footprint near the body. So the footprint is actually some very, very clear evidence, scientific evidence that someone was there. Yeah. If he ignores it, then his hypothesis is not scientific because it ignores a fact, evidence in the crime scene. Yeah. So the existence of necessary conditions leads always to empirical belief. Because if a guy really, if a man killed this victim and he was near to him in the time of the murder, then of course his footprints will be there. Yeah. So this is like a necessary condition. If a man killed someone, then his footprints will be near the body. Yeah, of course. Now, if I don't see footprints near someone who is allegedly killed, then I doubt it. But if I see footprints, then I know that a necessary condition has been there, and this necessary condition leads to empirical belief. So he can empirically really believe, he can have a very scientific hypothesis that a man killed this guy. Yeah, why? Because he saw a necessary condition for this killing. You got this point?
Yeah, we have already discussed it in the previous. Yeah.
Then it should be also reproducible. No, but because this point is very important, there are many necessary conditions for things which people just ignore, as we are going to see now. Yeah. Then it should be reproducible. Yeah. So whatever you do, a scientific model should reproduce the results. It cannot be only just one case and that's it. Yeah. Now let us give some examples.
Yeah, which is called concurrency.
Let us have a hypothesis. Unicorns exist in remote planets or parallel universe. Now, this hypothesis, you know, the unicorn, this horse with a horn, with one horn. So, it's a mythical creature, but if someone has this hypothesis, unicorns exist in remote planets or parallel universes, what do we call this hypothesis? Of course, this hypothesis is unfalsifiable and thus unscientific. It cannot be scientific because it is unfalsifiable. How will we know that unicorns exist in remote planets? Even if you go to all the planets in our galaxy,
maybe they may exist in other ones.
Yes, exactly. So there is no falsification procedures. This is why we say it is not a scientific hypothesis. And also its opposite. If you say unicorns don't exist, now this is now becoming a little more interesting, because if you say there are no unicorns and you call this scientific, it's not scientific. Why? Because you didn't go through all the planets in the universe.
You didn't have a complete induction in order to prove it.
Exactly. You cannot say this. You cannot say this, and also you don't have even a falsification procedure. Yeah. So your discussion about whether unicorns exist or not exist from the beginning is unscientific. Whether you say unicorns exist or don't exist, it's outside the scope of science. Yeah, you cannot follow this theory, whether positive or negative. Now take the following. Dalton's atomic theory has been superseded by more accurate atomic models, since it has been found that the atom is not indivisible. This guy Dalton, he came with the idea an atom is, I think this was in the beginning of the end of last century, in the beginning, if I remember. So this is a scientific theory, or let us say it is a scientific theory, but it is falsified by the fact that atoms are actually divisible. It is a scientific theory. There was a falsification procedure, and it was falsified. So you can have also a scientific theory which is falsified. It was correct. The methodology to form this theory was correct, but it has been falsified. Now, let's go to a little to pseudoscience. Andrews and Thompson's hypothesis that depression is an adaptation is falsifiable, but not supported by evidence, and hence it is not scientific. Yeah. These guys, Andrews and Thompson, in psychology, they have a hypothesis. They say that depression is an adaptation to environment and so on. So this is falsifiable, but it is not supported. It is falsifiable because you can do experiments, but it is not supported by evidence and hence not scientific. So when you form a theory from your own mind, just like this, you don't have any evidence to support you, then it is not scientific what you are doing. Now, like for example, the necessary conditions. For example, if let's go back to the example of Colombo. If Colombo, when he sees the footprint of a man, he comes with the idea that an alien, a three-legged alien, has killed the guy. Of course, this hypothesis is not scientific because if a three-legged alien has killed this guy, we would have seen footprints other than the footprints of a man. So this hypothesis is not supported by evidence compared to the hypothesis that a man killed this guy. Because a man killed this guy, I see footprints, so I can conclude that maybe a man killed this guy. Now, this is interesting because this is now the example Popper himself.
Freud.
Yeah. Now, this example Popper himself gives also from psychology. Oedipus complex refers to a child's unconscious sexual desire for the opposite sex parent and jealous hatred for the same sex parent. And Freud, this is what Freud says explicitly. Every new arrival on this planet is faced by the task of mastering the Oedipus complex. Anyone who fails to do so falls a victim to neurosis. So he said neurosis comes from this Oedipus complex.
That's excessive generalization.
Now, psychoanalysts consider that repression is in the same time, psychoanalysts consider that repression is a physiological mechanism in which desires and impulses are kept out of consciousness. So you can actually keep your own desires and impulses in the background of your head. So now we have the following problem. Therefore, the diagnosis of Oedipus complex is essentially unfalsifiable. If we have to believe both of them, the Freud, what he's saying about Oedipus complex, and what the others are saying of the concept of putting the things in behind out of your consciousness, then the diagnosis of Oedipus complex is essentially unfalsifiable. Even when the complex is not observable, it can be said that it has been repressed. Yeah. So if you analyze a guy and then you find he doesn't have Oedipus, you can always argue he has put it behind in his consciousness.
In his mind. Yeah.
Yes. So the Oedipus complex also exhibits problems of testability if we consider the psychoanalytic concept of reaction formation. So here is an analysis, very nice, interesting analysis, showing that this whole idea of Oedipus complex is pseudoscientific. Yeah? So, like many other theories in Freudian theories, at least. So this is an example for this. Now we go over to a very important topic. So until now, we have seen that pseudoscience is intermingled with scientific things, even in what people call sciences, like social sciences, like psychoanalysis.
Humanities, yeah.
Now we go to very important discussion about, can there be scientific proofs of God? Of course, if you ask someone, if you ask a Muslim, why do you believe in God? What, for example, if I ask you, yeah, Ahmed, why do you believe in what's your answer?
So I would say that when I reflect on nature, on the world, and the textual reading, having interaction with that text, I reached the conclusion that this world has a creator.
Yeah, so you reach the conclusion.
This is a
Do you
belief.
have
Yeah.
a proof for this? The question is, do you have a proof for this?
We can say we have warranties in Arabic Quran. No, I cannot say an evidence that I saw God or something.
No, let us take the terminology which we already adopted in this through this lecture.
Yeah,
Can you say you know there is God? Because we said that if you
I
have a
believe.
proof, then
Yeah, I believe.
so you believe. So
Mm.
you believe. Now, interesting is that many people think like you. So many people they are not obliged to see any proofs in what they believe. They
Mm.
actually believe. Actually, the definition of belief itself, the idea of belief, as we said, is that it is you have certain evidence, empirical
Warranties.
evidence.
Yeah,
The
because
more, yeah,
because
you call them warranties. You call them warranties. That's perfect. A very
mm,
nice name.
mm, mm,
In Islam, they are called ayat, alamat. They are
science.
called signs, exactly. So you have like, if you have one sign, your belief will be one. The more signs you have, the bigger your belief becomes.
Mm,
But the question whether there is scientific proof is not this question. Scientific proof leads to certainty, to 100%.
mm, mm, mm,
So
mm.
now, from the Islamic point of view, so the question is, can there be a scientific proof of God? From the Islamic point of view, in Quran, بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم فاطر السماوات والأرض جعل لكم من أنفسكم أزواجا ومن الأنعام بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم فاطر السماوات والأرض جعل لكم من أنفسكم أزواجا ومن الأنعام أزواجا يذرأكم فيه ليس كمثله شيء وهو السميع البصير.
Mm.
He is the creator. He is creator of the heavens and the earth. He has made you from yours. Just one moment. I need to take it. I will read the English again.
The previous one. Mm.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Creator of the heavens and the earth, he has made for you from yourselves mates, and among the cattle mates, he multiplies you thereby. There is nothing like unto him, and he is the hearing, the seeing. So, Quran clearly says that God cannot be object of any scientific
Of any
investigation.
empirical
No,
investigation.
any scientific, not only empirical. Of
Yeah.
any. Why? Because he
It's
cannot be
absolute.
compared
The
to
absolute.
his creation. He cannot be compared to his creation, either
Exactly.
neither via deduction nor via induction. So it is we have seen that proofs, scientific proofs for us today are either inductive or
Deductive.
deductive.
Mm.
And God in Quran is saying here very clearly that he cannot be compared to his creation. He cannot be object actually of any scientific investigation
Mm.
leading to a proof.
Mm.
From
Mm.
the scientific now, so from the Islamic point of view, it's not possible. You cannot treat God as if he's an object, and
Mm.
you put like a list of properties of this object. You cannot list the properties of God subhanahu wa
Mm.
ta'ala.
Mm.
You
Mm.
cannot do this. In Islam, it's even forbidden to speak about him in a way more than what is explicitly written in Quran and in the
Mm.
script.
Mm. Mm.
The very famous discussion, the very famous question, which was posed to Imam Malik, what do we mean by the throne of God, and what do you mean that he sat on the throne and all this, istiwa al arsh? His answer was very clear that we know that it happened. We don't know how, and the question in itself is
Bid'ah. Novelty. A novelty. But
is a no. It's
but
not a novelty. It's wrong. A novelty
but in
it's a
Arabic he
mistake.
said والسؤال عنه بدعة.
Yeah, bid'ah, but not in a positive way. Bid'ah in this
Yeah.
context means is a bad thing actually.
Yeah.
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 So it's very clear now. From the scientific, of course, historically, if you remember, historically, everybody claimed that he had a proof for God. Yeah, historically, many attempts to prove God, Muslims and non-Muslims.
Yeah,
Every
this is the main
yeah,
function of kalam, by the way, the dialectical
exactly.
theology.
Exactly, and this is also it's interesting because it put logics within the discussion, metaphysical discussion, and it made many people learn logic, understand logics, but applying it unfortunately to this in
It's
this wrong
not, it's
way.
impossible.
Now,
Yeah.
why do we see why from the scientific point of view in our age now I'm now when I use from now on scientific, I mean the definition of science as it is today,
Mm,
not as it was hundreds of years ago. So,
mm,
from the scientific point of view, for the assertion G, God exists, OSE, objective scientific evidence leading to mathematical knowledge or to empirical knowledge is not possible because
mm,
the meaning of the word God cannot be even approximately characterized.
mm,
So so my problem, the first big problem with this idea that there is scientific proof of God, that you cannot characterize God. You cannot characterize God.
mm.
You cannot. Yani it's not like if we tried, we will be able. No, you cannot, in principle, characterize God. Whatever you characterize God with,
Incapability.
yeah, whatever you characterize God with, I can object to it. Yeah. For example, there is a very famous attempt of proof for God, even by Gödel himself.
Mm,
Gödel is a mathematician, our prof who found out that mathematics is undecidable. He believed that there is God. Probably, Allahu Alam, I don't know why he did this famous proof of God. Actually, he started with some assumptions, 3 or 4 assumptions. I can object to all of them actually
mm,
by saying no, it's not like this, no, it is like this, and so on. So you can always object to any assumptions you put about God.
mm,
So it's actually in vain. You cannot do it for science, and if you cannot characterize something, the object of your scientific investigation, if you cannot characterize it,
mm,
then you
mm.
cannot have
And
a
you
proof.
cannot define it. Yeah, so you cannot define.
Not define it, so it's obsolete actually. Now,
Because
is there
as we have mentioned before, that science is relative, so it studies relative phenomenon or relative beings. It cannot be absolute or to study
as
the
as
absolute.
we as we said before, if you remember in our view where the ontology was completely separated from the epistemology,
Mm,
uh, and where we said that whatever is outside, we will never know. We'll never
mm,
know what
mm,
is
mm,
with
mm,
our
mm,
own brain. I mean, only with the brain you will never know what is outside.
mm,
So this objection is a very important objection. Everybody objected to this, yeah, in the modern ages, and even in the yeah,
classical era.
somebody
Mm, mm.
like Ibn Taymiyyah, for example, he just dismantled all the proofs of Ash'ari and so on,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
he said from where you get these premises, from where you get these assumptions.
Mm,
Now, having said this, we will ask the question: is there objective scientific evidence? Is there scientific evidence leading to mathematical belief or
mm,
empirical belief for God exists? Now,
mm,
this is another question.
mm.
So the first question, is there
This
a
is
proof of God?
another level.
Yes. So the first level, we don't have proof of God.
Mm, mm,
But
mm,
as you said in the beginning,
mm,
we don't work only with proofs.
mm, mm.
We have also warranties
Warrants.
or
Mm, mm.
signs,
Science.
or
Mm, mm,
we have beliefs. Yeah.
mm,
So
mm,
actually we have beliefs. Now the question, now this is a scientific question. Is there any objective scientific evidence leading to mathematical belief or empirical belief that God exists?
mm,
Now, I have here a very small, interesting example. Take the assertion God exists implies nothing is random. Yeah?
mm,
If you take this assertion, you find many people believing in this. If God exists, then nothing is random, of course. If there is a power which controls everything and is omniscient and knows everything, if God exists, then this implies nothing is random. So formally, I will write G implies not R. Now, as we know, there is objective scientific evidence leading to knowledge. We know that randomness is undecidable. You remember, we have seen this. We have just the last video, but we have seen this in the beginning, that we know that randomness is undecidable. So this formula has now randomness has now actually an undecidable concept in its premises or in its parts. Yeah. So as we saw, not R leads to legitimate mathematical belief. If you remember, this is interesting because if you remember, if I tell you a problem is undecidable, I have a proof that the problem is undecidable, then it is scientifically possible to say that it is either positive or negative, that its solution is either positive or negative. Yeah. So if something is undecidable, means I cannot decide it. So it might be positive or it might be negative. Its solution is either positive or negative.
So,
for example,
all opinions are equally valid.
Exactly. So both hypotheses are equally possible and equally scientific. Now, this is interesting. This is the interesting part. If I find for some problem that it is undecidable, because I have shown it mathematically, I took the problem, like the problem of randomness. I took it, and we have now mathematical proof that it is undecidable. So this means that the idea of the concept of randomness can be characterized in the right way. It can be characterized in the formal way, and I have shown that it is undecidable. Then I can say either that the world is random or that the world is not random, and both are scientific hypotheses. Both have the same. First of all, they have the same weight because they are undecidable, and secondly, they are both scientific. So God exists has objective scientific evidence leading to empirical belief because one of its necessary conditions is that the world is not random. Yeah. Because randomness is undecidable, I can also believe that the world is not random. I believe that the world is not random. Then this means that one necessary condition for God exist has happened. Yeah. So my belief that the world is not random is actually a mathematical belief. It's even mathematical. It's not empirical.
Yes, and this
because
is because
I know that randomness is undecidable in mathematics. Yeah? I have a legitimate mathematical belief. I can be whatever you call. I mean, there are people who will object to the idea of a mathematical belief. As we said, there are people who say no, either we have a proof or we don't have a proof.
Yeah.
So, but most people now, most mathematicians even say they want, even Gödel himself, they want to treat mathematics as if it was having beliefs. Like, for example, the continuum hypothesis. Some people believe that the continuum hypothesis is right. Some people believe that it's wrong. So here again, I have something where I can say my belief that the world is not random. It is actually a legitimate mathematical belief. So I can mathematically believe. So it is scientific. It is mathematical belief, and it is scientific, and it is very legitimate. You could also say that it is random and believe that it is random. It will
50-50.
be also 50-50. But you cannot say that that
That the other opinion is totally wrong also.
exactly. You cannot say that the other opinion, from the pure rational point of view, you cannot say that the other opinion is wrong. What we see today is that people mock the people who believe in God.
Yeah.
Believe. So I have here an objective scientific evidence leading to empirical belief that God exists. Why? Because I know that randomness is undecidable. I can mathematically believe that it is legitimate mathematically to believe that the world is not random. This means that there is a necessary condition for the existence of God, which I believe is happening. So we believe that a necessary condition of the existence of God is happening. So actually, we believe that God exists in an empirical way because we believe that there is a necessary condition happening. Of course, all this is belief; it's not knowledge. It makes the whole view much different than saying there is no proof and everything is wrong. You got me? Because when we go with Western thinking, either you have a proof or you don't have a proof. Yeah?
There's an amazing book called The Epistemological Injustice. I think it has to do with
Maybe I'm speaking about this.
Because now we have a part to say believe in God, and they cannot prove the existence of God, and we have the atheists or the people who don't believe in God, and they cannot disprove that the God doesn't exist.
No, but we went a step further. We left the concept of God out. We left the concept out, and we spoke only about randomness. Both the believers in God or the non-believers in God, they have one thing in common: randomness. The idea of randomness. They know that randomness is very precise idea. We can I mean, our objection was you cannot characterize God, but you can characterize what we understand by randomness.
And undecidable.
In the case of randomness, we have a mathematical proof for randomness, for that randomness is undecidable. Both of them, the atheist and the believer, they know that randomness is undecidable. Now, the atheist and the believer, they can choose their hypothesis.
And respect the other,
and respect the other. But this is not happening. But this is not happening.
Hegemony. The Western
this is not happening.
This is
not happening. Exactly. They try to impose the idea that everything creation and
by
even
natural law, according to natural law, and so on.
It's everything is and everything is random. Even if you speak to people about randomness, you find a lot of inconsistency.
I have discussions with some Western people about this issue, about this topic.
This is why I brought it. It is a very important issue because from the beginning you have something very wrong scientifically. You cannot say that your hypothesis is better than the other if the problem is undecidable. So the problem is undecidable.
And
now we know.
And this is from a Western
this situation, by the way, was not. The situation was not like that in the beginning of last century. Even a guy like Feynman, a physicist, I like him very much. He's the father of one of the fathers of physics. He was an atheist and he believed in randomness. And whatever he says in his métier in physics, the brilliant things which he's done are actually super. I was shocked to hear him say to a guy who interviewed him, at the end everything is random. Well, actually, no, we cannot say this. I'm sorry to tell you, Mr. Feynman, with all respect, we cannot say this. We don't know. We should say we don't know. We don't, and when we have something, and we know that we don't know, it's not like we don't know. We have a proof. We have a proof that we don't know, and we will never know.
The undecidability.
It's not, the undecidability doesn't tell you that maybe in 10 years we will know. We will never know. So this is something which is in itself decided already, that we know that we will never know. So in that case, the hypothesis that there is randomness or the hypothesis that there is no randomness are the same. But reality, they never put it like this. So you can, if you like, consider this type of discussion as an alternative for the proof of God between gods. There is no proof of God, okay, but the hypothesis that there is God is a scientific hypothesis. It's not an unscientific hypothesis. This
Yeah.
is the new thing which I wanted to say in this
I think we
part.
have to leave it here. Yeah, this is an important point to conclude here and to stop. I think to stop here,
Yes,
and
okay,
we
very good.
can
We don't have
go
time.
further
That's good.
in the next episode.
Inshallah, yes.
Inshallah, God willing.
Inshallah.
Thank you very much, Dr. Elnasser. It was an amazing episode because we discussed important, essential topics about decidability and indecidability and the validity of some ontological perspectives. Thank you very much,
Yeah.
and see you in the next episode.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.